Listen to the leader talk about green spaces and Cardiff's USP. It's in a document. And yet, you plan to concrete vast swathes of this city's green fields and hedgerows and habitats. You talk about infrastructure. Well, you've just passed a local development plan. Where was the infrastructure? Where is the health infrastructure for the 100,000 people you say are going to come into this city? Livable city doesn't really tie in with being choked with exhaust fumes in the west of the city, with poor air quality leading to heart disease, lung disease, and cancers over the long term. Forgive me for almost laughing at Councillor Ellesmore mentioning the housing hero, because that's the councillor who wouldn't even return any calls, any emails, when I wanted to discuss her department's unfair eviction of a family on Friday, over the weekend and on Monday. And it took a judge in a court to get justice for that family and not to see them thrown out on the streets. Disgraceful. I really wonder, is this worth the paper it is written on? Because frankly, I don't think it is. And I'm going to put this where it belongs, and that's in the bin.
Can I say before we proceed that if members make statements which members of the Cabinet don't agree with, they have an opportunity later on to make speeches. The leader's able to come back. So it's no good looking at me. You can rebut any things you disagree with later on. Councillor Carter.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm not sure I can rise to Councillor McEvoy's level of making my speeches interesting, but I certainly will try. I won't dare to try and put my speech in my proposed plan in the bin, though, as that would be sacrificing my own personal iPad. So it might be a very, very expensive mistake. But the rhetoric's very, very good. But I do agree with some of the points that Councillor McEvoy makes, because there is an issue here about lack of, dare I say it, realistic ambition. And I would sympathise and agree with Councillor McEvoy, in particular on this issue of Cardiff, of trying to make Cardiff Europe's most livable city. It's a lovely title, it's a lovely objective to have, but we have to think of realistic objectives. I love this city. I moved here 16 years ago now because I wanted to be here, and I've been here ever since. I absolutely adore this city. But as much as I love Cardiff, the idea of us being Europe's most livable city, possibly the UK's, but Europe's, it's quite a bold statement when you look at our weather in comparisons with certain parts of Europe. It's a nice one to have, but I think our objectives need to be realistic ultimately. But this is where we are.